You want to book the hotel? Sure thing, babe. Here's a simple and fun husband and wife MC from yesterday for you. On mobile, TLDR, etc. My wonderful family of 4 are on a trip to visit family and friends. 4 years ago, on a trip with the same itinerary as this one, I, husband, booked our hotel as I usually do. I am what you would describe as thrifty, and I don't like spending a ton on hotels when we are basically just sleeping there. The hotel I booked for this leg of the journey was probably not the most high-class and IT was not in the safest area of town. This was definitely a hotel where some acts of questionable legality and morality occur. In my defense, it was a very last-minute booking as we were supposed to be staying with family and there were very few options available under $150 a night. The stay there ended up being fine, but it has been a long-running joke between us for the past 4 years. We are now visiting for the first time in 4 years. I went to book the hotel and my wife said, "No way, it's my hometown and I am doing it this time." So she pulls up ye old Priceline and starts looking at places, specifically looking for a place with a pool for the littles. She looks at one, reads the reviews and details and says, "It looks good, especially for the lower price." She even calls to make sure the pool is open because of COVID. I look at the photos and look back at her thinking she was making a joke. She was not. I just smiled and said, "Whatever you think, babe." Yep, you know what's coming. As we approach the hotel, I see a look of confusion slowly wash over her face. She says, "Wait, is this?" and trails off. I reply with a resounding, "Yep, it sure is." She booked us in the exact same hotel that she has been griefing me about for 4 years. I laughed and laughed and laughed. She cannot believe she did it, and also thinks it is hilarious. I am vindicated. Story 2. Karen tells me to stop the ride, so I did slash the day I made a Karen cry. I work at an amusement park, and we have this ride called Moby Dick. This ride is 100% controlled by the operator. A couple of weeks ago, this woman and her friend came up to my ride, making fun of one of the kids that were on the ride. She was saying so many hateful things about how they look. Without even looking at her, I told her to stop, and this is how it went. Me: "You're literally talking about a 7-year-old like that. You need to stop or you will not be allowed on the rides." Karen: "But it's true. Look at them, me. Don't disrespect other guests. Please, it's not okay." Karen's friend: "Stop, Karen, before you get us in trouble again." Karen: "Whatever." When the ride was finished, I start letting the next group of people in. I say, "Do not pull down on the bars, pick any seat you'd like." To everyone as they walk in, since pulling on the bars can break the seats over time. I let a group of young boys in before Karen's group, and they sat at the end seats. Karen marches over to the kids yelling at them to get out of her seat and that she paid to sit at the end. Me: "Miss, please stop yelling at the kids or you will be removed from the ride with no refund in tickets." Karen: "Don't tell me," Karen's friend. "Stop it, Karen, just sit in the middle." She complained the whole time walking to the middle seats and then pulled down the bar. I was thinking it was time to get a manager over, but I didn't want to bother them with her. Once I got everyone seated, I close all the seat bars. When I was checking the seats, Karen's one was on the loose side, so I pushed it in a little to make it tighter. Karen: "You're trying to kill me. First you left my seat open, now you're making it so I can't breathe." I ignore her and keep checking seats. When I finally start the ride, I slowly rock it, and Karen is screaming to take her off, so I make the ride go faster, doing full circles now. Halfway during the ride, Karen screams, "Stop the ride, you fucking bitch!" She wants me to stop it? Fine with me. I park the ride at the top of the ride like I do when closing, but keeping the ride on. The 6 others on the ride weren't scared. The ride stopped. Karen started screaming bloody murder, crying, and begging to be let down. The parents watching know what she said before their kids and know what's going on and start laughing. After around 30 seconds, she is screaming, "Let me down still." So I do on the fastest setting. I start the ride spinning full speed. I made the ride a little longer since all the kids were having fun. Before I open the seats, I scream a warning. Me: "Wait for the bars to be fully open and stay above your head before getting up. Stay seated." Karen pushes it up and gets up, having the bar fall back down and hit her in the head. Her friend laugh at her and get up, walking her off the ride. Story 3. Cult talkers think they can scare me out of my new home. M. Me Es 1. Entitled Stalker 1 Es 2. Entitled Stalker 2 KN. Kind neighbor. I should give you guys just a little backstory on how I ended up in this situation. I grew up in Scientology. My parents joined back in 1991 and moved to the States to be involved more than they could from the UK. In 2015, when I was 15, I joined the Sea Org and signed a billion-year contract. I know how insane that is, but it was something my parents were pressuring me to do because they thought it would allow me to be the best Scientologist I could be. But last August, I saw my opportunity to leave, and I took it. I was sent out with a group of other Sea Org members to confront some people who had been declared as suppressive people, SPs, who were outside the building, when one of them said they had a permit to film some stuff in the street, and since it was public that we couldn't stop them, and that it was in the car parked about 5 minutes away from where we were. One of the women I had come out with told me to go with the guy and check it out, so I did. When we got round the corner, I told the guy I had wanted to leave, but hadn't been able to because there was always someone watching. He suggested that maybe since we were out of sight, maybe we could get into his car and he would drive me to a hotel and get me a room so I could plan where I could go after a couple days. So I took the opportunity and got into his car and finally felt so much freedom that I had never felt before. He had also been a Scientologist and had escaped from Gold Base years ago, so understood my situation very well, and once I figured out that I wanted to go to Washington, he got in contact with some friends of his who were able to get me there without Scientology having any way of tracing my movements. I have been here ever since. I live in a nice neighborhood, well, at least to where I had been before, and had managed to get a job working in a coffee shop. I have been so happy to be free, but I never fully stopped looking over my shoulder. I know the policies regarding people like me, and I have been keeping an eye out for them ever since I left. 2 months ago, I noticed that a car with tinted windows was following me. I knew it was down to Scientology. They had somehow found out where I had moved and were trying to gather information on me. Last week, they finally knocked on my door. Even though I knew it was going to happen sooner or later, I was shaking. My neighbor, who has always been really kind to me, was over. She comes over sometimes just to check on me, and she'll bring me food if she feels like I haven't eaten properly. She's basically been like a mom to me, and I love her for it. I opened the door, and things got really uncomfortable real fast. ES1, your parents have been worried about you and you're hiding out here. Why? M, I'm not hiding, I just don't want to be in a cult anymore. ES1, shouting, liar, you are a criminal. You broke your contract and you fled. You are evil. KN interrupting. Hold on a minute, stop shouting. OP is not evil and she is free to live her life as she pleases. Now leave her property or I will call the police. ES2 holding a camera pointed at my face. You are a suppressive person. You may not set foot in any Scientology billing again. If you do, we will have you charged with harassment. M confused. But you're the ones who tracked me down. I know the policies, I know I'm an SP. I know about being disconnected with my family, so what do either of us gain from you being here? KN. Put the camera down. ES1. No. KN closes the door in their faces and goes to close the curtains as I told her that they would probably try filming through my windows. I went and closed all other curtains in my home, and after KN left, I locked my doors too. They are still watching my house from a car across the street, and I feel uncomfortable about going outside. I know what methods can be used by Scientologists who are fair gaming an SP. I know now after watching Going Clear and Leah Remini's show that my experience with them after leaving is tame, but it's still pretty creepy. Why they feel entitled to follow people around to a point where I'm basically a prisoner in my own home, I don't know. But I wish they would leave me alone. I'm not sure what information they have gathered on me, but I know whatever it is will have been sent back, and it will be used against me in some way. But until they try and use it, I have no way to really do anything. If anyone has any advice, please let me know.